You're listening to the Nerd to Know Media Network. Join us at nerdtoknowmedia.com.
Broadcasting from the Blanchistan Center, this is Phoenix FM.
The internet is a communications tool used the world over where people can come together to bitch about movies and share facts.
According to the Nerd Index, you should be upside down in a junior high toilet around the clock.
This is We'll do it live! Time goes in, time goes out. Never miscommunication.
It's over 9,000! My name is Foxy.
The balls are in there. Do a barrel roll. Don't save me, bro. It's a trap. I'm a firing believer. Time to Hey, Charlie, wake up! Oh, God, oh, man.
Hello, and welcome to this week's edition of the Nerd to Know Basis Show. I am Cian, and with me are our special regulars in alphabetical order, please.
Ahoy, it's Dara.
Ahoy, hoy, it's Mannequin Blue.
Ahoy, hoy, hoy, hoy. Thank you so much for being here on this very special episode. We have a lot to cover, a lot to cover, actually. We just spent 10 minutes covering all of the highlights of the news. So we're going to dive straight in, and we'll see if some of our own personal nonsense gets mixed up with it as we go along. Mannequin Blue, I believe there is something you want to talk about straight away before we go any further.
Is there?
She-Hulk.
Oh, no, you made it
Very
sound
general.
urgent.
Very general. I was like, oh
Thank
no,
you for
what?
torpedoing that 10 minutes of prep I just said there live on the air.
We don't do show prep.
Thank you for singling me out before the show's even properly started.
Singling you out. I said you had a thing you wanted to talk about.
You said it was like
Yeah, but
urgent.
You made it sound urgent.
Quick, this show that's on the
It
street.
is urgent. We've got an hour. Quick. She-Hulk, you like? No? Really? Why not? Go. Next. Lord of the Rings. Quick. This is our new format. 1 minute reviews.
She-Hulk, great, didn't they?
You see, the thing about it is, if we did that way, it would just be everyone going, it was okay, or Keen and Kev aggressively liking it, and then me going, it's terrible. And that's what all the reviews would be.
Yeah, we really don't need to record any more episodes. We've got our formula kind of figured out.
That's
haven't
kind of
we?
figured out, yeah. So you know, the
Yeah,
nuance.
I like it. You hate it. Katie's the wild card, and Kev recommends or.
See,
And
the
we just
nuance.
copy. If the robots that are listening out there who are copying our voices, that's your formula.
Exactly.
Just get on to us before you start copying episodes, whatever.
But they can't have the witty banter. That's the thing. That's why the people keep coming back.
But I
Oh,
like
the
that
witty
I'm
banter.
unpredictable.
What was that, Katie?
I like that I'm unpredictable. The robots will never synthesize my personality.
No. Mine's way too easy. It was terrible. Here's why.
It was terrible, but I didn't watch it. Here's why.
I didn't watch it.
All right, no, in seriousness, although it is appropriate to break the fourth wall when discussing She-Hulk, we actually haven't covered much of She-Hulk because Dara has refused to watch it. So, Katie, without going into too many spoilers, why don't you tell us what you liked about She-Hulk in general and the finale in particular?
Hold on, can I just defend myself for 1 second? There's many reasons why I didn't watch.
Only because I'm interested to see how this defense will work.
Listen, right? I've tried to watch it. Okay, so this is kind of like the Marvel game where and the first Watch Dogs, where I'm like, it's not that bad. Sure, I bought it once, so I'll watch it again. And every time I go to watch it, it like hits you. It's like this is terrible, and then you forget about it and come back to it, and I'm like, no, I'm just not doing it with Marvel. I'm like, Marvel, we're not doing this. You know, we're breaking up. You know,
I'm sure Kevin Feige's heartbroken.
But no, I mean, like, here's
the
thing,
Kevin.
Yeah.
No, the first episode wasn't too bad, and then it had just ultimate cringe. And then the next time I went into it, she was twerking, and I'm like,
you mean in episode 3?
That was a post-credit scene, though.
I know, but I'm like, the poor Marvel art team some fella had to sit there and like animate that.
Oh, I'm sure it was awful for him. Oh
And I'm
no.
like, and I'm like,
Hours and hours of extensive research.
yeah, I just anyway. And then the next time I watched it, like the Daredevil episode wasn't too bad actually. That was all right.
Oh, you got that far into it?
No, as I said, I drop in and out. I don't watch it consistently.
Oh,
'cause
sorry,
it's
but
trash.
Daredevil doing the walk of shame,
Yeah.
holding
Yeah.
his shoes was just everything that I needed it to be.
No, that was fair. That wasn't too bad. I think
Some
that was
80
the highlight.
episodes of super serious Netflix drama just goes up in smoke in
See,
that one instance.
That's what upset a lot of people. But you know,
Oh,
that's a whole
really?
other thing. Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Oh, but see, that's a super Marvel-y thing. Like, I read a She-Hulk comic recently where they were both in court, She-Hulk and Daredevil, against each other. Oh, there's lightning outside my house. Because they were defending and prosecuting Captain America. Like, you know, it's sort
No,
of...
it is. No, it absolutely is. And I think that's it's an important, like, the debate around what's She-Hulk and what's not is quite interesting because obviously, you know, you've read the comics. Some people haven't. Like, there's entire runs of Daredevil that's completely like the Mark Waid run completely is very much like something you see in She-Hulk for good or bad. But no, I mean that's not why I didn't like it. I don't know. Your one just drives me mental. And I was watching it the last episode, and you had the cool intro where it was kind of like the original Hulk. That was cool. And then it started. I'm like, all right, I can't handle this, so I just turned it off. So there you go. I tried 3 separate times, and every time
Okay,
I
well,
watched
in
it,
fairness, you did try it, but like to go to something you said on a previous episode, like it's sort of the Marvel thing, which
Yeah.
is that they're trying lots of different flavors, and not everyone's gonna like everything.
but
Like,
it's
you know.
also comic books. It's like I go in pretty much every week. I'm buying comics now every week, which is bad because I don't have the room for it. But you know, you go in every week and there's just some good runs. And I wouldn't go in and buy the entire shelf of comic book shop. I just buy the ones I want to read. And that's kind of how to see this now. And I mean, just because I don't like it, like I don't really like any Marvel books at the moment, but I buy some DC books, you know. But some people do like the Marvel books. And I think that's the way to see this Disney streaming service thing where it's not like a super important element of if you don't watch this, you want to watch this. There is something actually I'll talk about afterwards that was very good.
In She-Hulk.
No. It was the werewolf one in Marvel.
Yes, I'd love to talk
Yeah,
about that too.
We'll talk about that after the She-Hulk thing. But what I mean is, I picked that up like I would a comic. Watched that, really enjoyed it. She-Hulk, okay, cool. Like Miss Marvel, never gonna watch that. I'm not sad about missing it. I don't feel like I've missed anything, you know.
Okay, all right. Well, that is a
it's
fairly kind of
cosmic,
democratic way to
Tara.
put it. Yeah.
It's cosmic.
No, I know. But what I'm saying is, it's like with comic books, this kind of, I like this. It's more comic book-y, if that makes sense, where you can pick up things you like, runs that you like, watch it, and then kind of come for the big event movies. And that's the way it is. So, I mean, like, look, if that's the way Marvel want to do it, cool. But for me, I'm happy enough to sit there and go, I do not like this, but if you like it, that is okay. But for me,
okay. Well, that is
that's the way I see it.
More than most commenters, either who like it or hate it on the internet, would say. So that's worth kind of putting on the table there. Katie, we didn't actually get to your thoughts on it though, because funnily enough, Dara did quite a good legal defense there. So let's go to Katie then. What did you kind of think? What did you like about the finale?
Do you know what? I kind of had a love-hate relationship with the finale. Like, it had some really good moments, some really good jokes, but I just thought the overall execution was a bit sloppy.
Really? In what respect?
Yeah, it was because it was like they were building up to this big event, and then they were just like, actually, no, we're not going to do that. And instead of like redoing it, you know, the right way, air quotes or whatever, they just kind of glossed over and just was like, okay, here's the aftermath now.
Oh, I see. So basically they did the clever thing of like, we're not doing the typical Marvel Disney Plus episode 6 where it's a big fight, but they also didn't replace it with something cleverer.
Exactly. Yeah. They just kind of, they were like, without spoiling too much, they just kind of went to She-Hulk going, nope, we're not doing that. I'm going to fix this, this, and this. But then you don't actually see it fixed.
Right. So it was a subversion, but it wasn't kind of like a satisfying one. Like,
yeah, exactly. Like, because they obviously they had built up to this big moment, and it was very silly, and it was like, lads, come on.
Yeah.
But, you know, then even She-Hulk was like, lads, come on. And she's like, no, we're not doing this. We're gonna change everything. But then it just kind of skipped.
Yeah, I get you. I mean, it's unfortunate that we can't really talk about the specifics because there are specific things I like and specific things I didn't. But overall, I like the spirit of it, and I would take this over, like, you know, your Moon Knight finale, your Falcon and Winter Soldier finale, your WandaVision finale, where it is just a big fight.
Hey,
Like, you know what I mean?
hold on,
Like,
hold on,
like I
hold
like
on.
those series in general, but I
Moon
think the
Knight-
series had a point in
No,
what the finale was saying, you know?
The finale of Moon Knight was awesome, to be fair. Come
There
on.
was not enough Moon Knight in Moon Knight.
The finale was good, but it left no closure, you know? The big fight ended, and then it was the credits, and then the post-credits thing. And, like, if that's how you end your thing, what you say to an audience is, this is what really mattered the whole time.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. You know, the big fight is never the most important thing. And Marvel knows this.
Yeah, they do.
Even in its films.
Yeah. Because they're not films, they're comic books acted out in real life.
Oh, I know, but like a 6-arc comic can still have a good ending with closure. Like,
Depends who's
I'm
writing it.
going through the Hawkeye series now, and that's got loads of really good endings and, like, you know, little
But it
breathing moments before the next thing ramps up, you know?
But it depends who's writing it. And
I
Marvel,
suppose that's true, yeah.
and Marvel, the MCU and the comics, the comics guys, they're unreadable. They're dire, absolute train wreck. Even the Spider-Verse, the new Spider-Verse, it is garbage tier. Have I bought them all? Yes. Have I read them all? Yes. But it is a slog. Terrible. Terrible. I still buy them, you know? I just don't buy all of them.
They are all awful, but I still buy them just in case.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm reading there going, it might get better.
Marvel, you're terrible.
You know
but
what?
please
You've
take my
lost
money.
that leg to stand on when you bully me about liking Doctor Who there. Thank you very much for that.
I don't come on and defend it. I still say it's terrible.
You know, I appreciate your candor this week there. I must say, I'm hugely impressed with it.
It's probably it's probably the antibiotics. I'm
One
on a
week
lot of-
only.
1 week ago.
Drugs are bad. Okay.
Well, now sticking with She-Hulk before we move on. So, like, presumably, if there was a second season, I'll go to Katie because I know you're kind of a bit more favorable on it. Would you prefer that to more of this kind of thing? Or would you like there to be more elaborate Marvel stuff? Would you like less of it? Would you like the tone to be changed? What would you like for more of it?
I mean, the overall tone for the show, I'm quite happy with because it's silly and it's dumb. And I like that about it, you know, so that's fine. And if we get kind of more cameos and stuff, that's great. They need to, like, figure out, if they do another season, they need to figure out how they're going to end it, because the whole, nope, we're not doing that, just, it doesn't really work in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, I get you. And I apologize, by the way. I've got my finger on the mute button because there's an actual thunderstorm happening over my head.
Oh, yeah, no,
unless-
same here.
Unless you
Same
want
here.
that. Like,
We're
you
all
know.
we're all pretty much in the same part of the country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
weather
I'll go
warning,
to-
isn't that wild? It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll go to Dara, actually, because I know that you very much did not take She-Hulk. So if they were to do a second season, what would you like to see it, though, make you more amenable to it?
She gets killed off.
How dare you? How very dare I will hear nothing
if,
bad
but like
said.
because she's a
about
Deadpool
Tatiana
type, you
Maslany.
actually can't kill her because people who can break the fourth wall are unkillable. Like, if you killed her, she'd just wake up in Valhalla with a Natalie Portman cameo being like, oh, this sucks, you know, and then she'd come back, climb out to the TV, whatever.
There's many ways to do this.
Which, I mean, she pretty
yeah.
much did that in the finale, so.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at, yeah.
I never want to see her face again.
How dare you?
Yeah, I
In fact,
can't.
you know what? You go and you sit down and watch all of Orphan Black right now.
No, it's not got to do with the actress. It's just the character I find incredibly obnoxious.
How dare you?
Well, here's the interesting thing, though, because I've noticed no one's brought this up. What makes her different from Deadpool? Do you know what I mean?
She's a woman.
No, Ryan Reynolds. I'm sorry.
I'll give you that. Ryan Reynolds, it's hard to be as charming as Ryan Reynolds, regardless of gender, yes.
Listen, it's nothing got to do with gender. Ryan Reynolds. That's where it begins and ends.
Yeah, but not everyone can be Ryan Reynolds, and that's okay.
Of course, but Ryan Reynolds can
That
be
sounds
everyone.
like a charity event that you're running there.
Like the thing about it is, I genuinely think that's an unfair comparison because Ryan Reynolds is literally
No, but they
just
are the
Deadpool.
two most wall-breaking, like savvy characters.
I know, but I mean, the way he like, I didn't. To be honest with you, I didn't really like Deadpool 2 that much.
Same.
I don't think it's great. I think it needed another pass. So I will not watch Deadpool like 2 again. If that makes sense. The first one I did like a great deal, and I am very excited for the third one.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it's like the She-Hulk character is cool, and I think a lot in the series it seems like they got a lot of it. But I don't know. It's just she's just kind of a melt, and that's kind of it. And I'm just like, yeah, no.
I don't know. Like, I kind of like it because obviously, she's this strong, empowered female character, but then she's still dealing with like stupid boys and dating apps and all that nonsense that women have to go through.
Yeah, it is kind of good at having its cake and eating it too, as far as being a Marvel thing and being like, I hope this isn't kind of patronizing, but a Marvel thing aimed at women. You know what I mean? It's able to balance those two. Like,
I would fight to the death for this thing to exist and for a second season for it to be there, because I do think it's important that these things are done, because that's the cool thing about comics. You can do stuff like this and go off and do a weird series that people like. Sure, look, I mean, that's the cool thing about comics. Oh, you want another universe? Well, here's another universe. Oh, you want a universe where all the characters aren't DC characters, but they are, and it's called the Watchmen. Here you go. I mean, that's if you limit that kind of creativity, you don't get something cool. But it's just not for me, and it's just unfortunate that your one's a belt, and I just can't stand her.
I wouldn't agree with that analysis, but I get where you're coming from. It's and one thing I liked was that I loved all the more obscure Marvel things being brought
cool.
in. Like, I love that we had a member
that,
of the Great Lakes Avengers, Mr. Immortal, in one episode, Leapfrog.
Yeah.
Like the Wrecking Crew, Man Bull. These are things that would never appear in Marvel without this. And now they're here ahead of Doctor Doom. And I find that inherently funny,
Look, the world building is very important. And apparently there was supposed to be a lower tier show that was based on like the Avengers, but not the Avengers. It was like the Avengers accounting department or something like that. Alan Tudyk was supposed to be in it. And I think they kind of worked a lot of that in. And I'm a huge fan of world building. I think it's great. And that's what I'm saying. Like, when you're reading, like, that's the thing that the Fantastic Four should do, for example, where they're just there. They're just hanging out. It's like, oh, hey, Reed, let's do this. Rather than being the be all and end all. And I mean, if that's her role, it's a cool role. It's just, actually, to go to your point to Deadpool, it's why Deadpool just showed up with the X-Men.
Yeah.
And the X-Men were just there.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's a thing that very few characters can do. And I do appreciate that, because it's like, everything doesn't need to be the world ending. Sometimes you just want to go get coffee or go on a dating app or, whatever. And that's what they do. And it's cool that that's there. But for me, I'm like, when I saw the twerking, I threw up a little bit.
I mean, I will admit that did bother me, but that's just because I don't like kind of Marvel kind of pandering to celebrities.
Yeah, it's very.
It was that aspect just bothered me a little bit too much. But I've gotten over my old man yells at crowd phase. And just admitted that it's fun.
No, it dates it. That's the problem. I mean, like, when you're watching a lot of the MCU, the stuff for example, in Iron Man 1, where he goes, "I don't want to see this on your MySpace."
Yeah.
It takes away that timeless aspect of it, even though it was a funny line. I mean, I suppose, like, actually, Katie, since you didn't mind it so much, if you were to watch this in 10 years, like you would Iron Man 1, how do you think that's going to land?
What, the twerking?
Yeah.
Well, like, no, to be honest, I wasn't a huge fan of the twerking scene myself, but I was like,
I hate the way we're crucifying it for that one scene.
No,
but
like, I mean? I just said to myself, look, it's a post-credit scene. It's a stupid, silly little thing. And in the context of what she was doing in that scene, it makes sense.
Right. Yeah.
So, like, I just took it as an aside.
Actually, it didn't seem like something Jennifer Walters would do,
Yeah, I'm sorry. If I was like a hotshot lawyer and one of my clients was, one of these big rap chicks and we were messing around in the office and she's like, "Oh, let's twerk," like in the spirit of the moment, you would.
Okay, fair. Yeah.
Fair.
And they did retroactively make it something that her character does in the finale, which was bizarre.
Oh my God, you're not selling me on it.
No, it's just I just joined the dots there that the twerking was foreshadowing for the finale, which, if intended, bizarre. But on that pleasant note,
when did she twerk in the finale?
Because I mean, we'll say it because it's in the first 10 minutes. The way they get into the bad guy's lair is her best friend like uploads a video of her twerking from college days.
Oh,
like the Hulk thing. I was like, was that set up? Like, just you never know with these TV.
I don't know. I think it's more of a coincidence type thing,
okay.
or it could
whatever.
be showing that
it's now made retroactively consistent in her character.
Yeah, it could have been showing that like she was always just this goofy kid.
I'm gonna get I want to get a sounder made of like comic book guy. It's like worst insert something ever. Oh, whoa! We just had lightning. If I disappear, guys, it's because I just
I know. There was lightning here about 3 minutes ago. It's probably moving. We can actually chart the movement across our 3 like little microphones. Yeah.
Well, the whole room just lit up. That was wild.
Yeah. You've got at least 3 more coming because I've had 4 here so far. But while Dara's like tech sounds goes off, he did bring up that Werewolf. Is it Werewolf by Night? Was the new Marvel thing,
which is the comic that Moon Knight debuted in.
You beat me to it. Yes, It was a horror anthology because it's easy to forget that before Marvel was Marvel with all these superheroes, quite a lot of Marvel comics were these anthology series.
Correct.
Like, Spider-Man popped up in Amazing Fantasy 16. Ant-Man comes from Strange Tales. Quite often the way Marvel did these things where they would just release one-off stories, and then like if anyone got really popular, they might get promoted to a series. So it's nice to see them kind of going back to that. Like, and you're right, that's where Moon Knight comes from. So, like, Dara, since you brought it up, what did you think of Werewolf by Night, which is on Disney Plus right now, by the way?
I was expecting nothing. I was genuinely, I'm like, all right, I'll watch this. Could be grand. Probably going to be terrible. And it wasn't. It was delightful, actually. One of the most violent things I think Marvel. I think it's the single most violent thing Marvel have ever done.
It is violent, but it's campy 30s kind of violent. Like it's in black and white anyway, and like the monsters, apart from one of them a little bit, look quite prosthetic. Everything has that slightly rubbish on purpose feel to it.
Yeah,
it's a very kind of period piece pastiche callback type thing,
It's a homage to
that's the word I was looking for. Yes,
homage to Universal monster movies.
I mean, I was a little bit disappointed with the werewolf, but it was purely just because I think Man-Thing set my expectations too high.
That's fair. You know what? I actually had the exact same. I was like, wow, Man-Thing looks awesome. Oh, the werewolf looks awful.
See, that's actually what I said. Like when he transformed into the werewolf, I think the first thing I said was, oh, he looks terrible.
See, initially I agreed with you, but having thought on it for a while, one, I'm glad it's an actor in a suit, so that if he pops up in Moon Knight, we'll see the actor in it because he's really good. And 2, I'm really glad it's just not a CGI werewolf. Because I remember a film with Benicio del Toro and Anthony Hopkins, a Hammer horror thing, where they were like mo-capped CG werewolves, and it was like the worst of both worlds. You could see the actors generic, So I'm really glad it's just a guy in a costume, like
there's ways of doing a CGI werewolf where it looks really, really good. Like if you take Van Helsing.
Yeah, actually, you know what? That's a movie that doesn't get enough love at all. Van Helsing is fantastic. Well, there's some parts
if you kind of go into it knowing it's a bit campy, then sure. It
gets a bad rep though because people, it's like, oh, that was terrible, and it really wasn't. It wasn't.
It's a great movie.
I think there was a period there where that and like League of Extraordinary Gentlemen came out, and like comic movies were skewing towards being more serious, but the horror movies were going the opposite way. So like people kind of didn't know what to make of them. Like X-Men and X-Men 2 came out around that time,
Yeah, that's true. That's right.
Oh, lightning got him. But I loved it, and I want to give a shout out to the director, Michael Giacchino, who's like one of the best music composers in Hollywood. Like he did the music for like Up and like Star Trek and like all these amazing things and all that. And that's, as far as I know, it's like a first time directing thing. And I was hugely impressed with his kind of confidence to make it look like Dara said, a homage, and to have it be so stylistically different from everything in the MCU. I was really hooked into it.
It was very dark. Like even by Marvel standards, it was very, very dark.
It was dark, but I would say that it was, the style balanced it out. Like, I mean, in the first scene, like there's a dead guy who's a puppet.
Yeah,
Like,
that's what I mean. Like they're like
Dead
puppeteering a corpse,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
I did like that actually. That was gas.
Yeah, and like the further you go in, like I kind of felt safe even when it was violent because everything looked so prosthetic.
No, I mean
It's kind of hard not to have fun with it, you know.
It wasn't scary. It was just violent. Like, I mean, I don't really like Marvel being violent. I it's weird because I really enjoyed the show. Now I did, and I say if you haven't seen it, do watch it. It's great. I just don't like that. Like, I watched this as a double feature with Hocus Pocus 2, which, by the way, I have thoughts. We're going to talk about that. Yeah, but it was good. I mean, it was just weird. I don't know. I mean, the only other Marvel violence that would match this is when John Walker did the whole Shield thing. But
that was a very extreme incident, like, you know.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like that, I think that's, I could be wrong, but I think
there must be a fair bit of violence in the Netflix MCU type thing.
Yeah, but the Netflix one isn't canon. I mean, you know, it's not really.
Daredevil's doing the walk of shame. It must be slightly canon.
No, I mean, but no. Here's the thing. That's Daredevil, all right, but MCU Daredevil, not.
Yeah, they're
different universes.
Giving Daredevil his own Disney Plus show.
Yeah.
Oh, I know, but I'm just saying it doesn't necessarily mean that it's not like all erased from history, you know.
No, well, no, it wouldn't be, but it's a different universe.
Have to say though, not a fan of the color scheme for Daredevil.
That's fair.
The
you want
yellow,
the yellow?
red?
Yeah, and I did like that they poked fun of it in She-Hulk as well, you know, where she's like, oh, ketchup and mustard for your color scheme.
Yeah.
But yeah, I never liked the yellow Daredevil. I don't know what they're thinking.
I really like the all yellow Daredevil. Like, you know, not the red and yellow Daredevil. There is maybe it's Tim Sale that drew it or someone like that. But
the red one is the only
yellow Daredevil with just touches of red in it. That looks surprisingly good, and you wouldn't think it, you know.
No, the red one's the only one that makes sense. I mean, you know.
Well, the red is the standard, yeah.
No, I mean it makes sense. He's running around the dark getting stabbed, like, you know.
And he's a devil.
Yeah.
And he's a devil.
There is an alternate one as well where he has like grey armor, but the red gloves and hat, which looks
I'm
quite
sorry.
good too.
I'm sorry, Keane. Katie has won this, and he's a devil.
Yeah, fair enough. I like it. I prefer the original, but I do like. For me, the best one is always when he's just like wearing a bandana, looking like Todd in the Shadows or whatever.
That was good.
That's my favorite. But the red is like the gold standard, you know. Ironically,
can we talk? How much time have we got left, Kim?
Plenty.
All right, can we talk about Hocus Pocus 2, please?
You can, but I only saw Hocus Pocus 1 for the first time last weekend, so
no spoilers. I'm saving it for Halloween night.
Oh no! Okay, never mind. We'll
tell you what. I'll see it.
No. We'll wait until after Halloween.
Halloween. We'll save it for Halloween. But yeah, so I'll tell you what. Since we're on the Disney Plus thing, we might as well keep rolling. Why have neither of you seen Andor?
Because Star Wars ended when Disney bought it.
It didn't. No, it just kind of. I saw a trailer for it. It didn't really interest me.
Okay, because it's like. It feels more like Blade Runner than Star Wars. It's really hooking me in with its like kind of weird, slow, deliberate pace and all this moody lighting.
I do like that they're branching out and they're doing shows and movies and stuff that isn't just Jedis and lightsabers. But like I'll probably get around to it eventually. It's just one of those things where it's not high on my list.
Okay. I mean, to be honest, you're probably better off waiting because it is slow. They actually released the first 3 episodes together, just to get people hooked in, because it is a slow moving beast. It took 3 more episodes just to do one raid on like an Imperial base. But like it's got character spades and like, you know, all these kind of things and all these brilliant actors like Fiona Shaw and like all these people, a lot of Netflix like top tier actors. Like, you know, it feels like it's bordering on being theater because it's just really quality actors doing their thing, and it's not like you say, no Jedi, no lightsabers. And then when they drop in a Star Wars thing, like one TIE fighter, it feels really, really exciting because they've held off on it for so long. So I'm loving it. I really hope people stick with it because it is a slow moving thing, but it's a really detailed thing. It's getting me more interested in Star Wars than I have for a long time.
I don't know. It's no Mando.
Yeah, but Mando's kind of its own thing. I was the one person on the planet who liked Boba Fett, you know?
I like Boba Fett. I just found to be incredibly slow and boring.
Oh,
and then,
if you thought Boba Fett was slow, I would say Andor is slower, but more deliberate. You know what I mean? Like everything is there for a reason. Everything matters. It's all about the intricacies, you know?
Yeah, I just want more Mando and Grogu. That's all I want.
Well, most people do, in fairness.
Yeah.
I mean, that's hard to argue with now. But I would recommend it. And like, I can't help but feel, and I haven't researched this, and I apologize if Dara has to edit this, but I can't help but feel that like in Andor, they're very deliberately leaning into colonialism as a theme. Like all of Andor's backstory is literally he comes from a place where no one speaks any English and like none of them even have subtitles. And there's just these strange people coming in and taking him away. And then like the last episode was all these like vaguely Celtic looking people like with, you know, very basic supplies storming this like base full of English officers who all have these uptight accents. They like make the local people walk miles and miles just for their own amusement. It feels like they're pushing Star Wars as close to real world analogy as they comfortably can. And I'm interested to see how far they push that, you know?
See, the thing that is, though, I'm not a fan of that. What turned me off it was the director was like, this is anti-Trump. And I'm like, okay, he's not in the White House anymore. There's bigger issues.
Well, see, this is why you don't do research.
Yeah, this is it. And I'm just like, okay, I don't see why.
I'm sorry to hear that he said that, but like, I would say it's political without being specifically political.
No, the director specifically said it's political.
Well, I'm just saying that based on having watched it, you know.
And here's the thing: Star Wars has always been political, right? Fair. The first one is a direct commentary on the Vietnam War, right?
Yeah.
But the thing about it is, it's like there's nothing wrong with having, like, you can have your cake and eat it too. And I mean, there's a way to do that kind of narrative that they're doing. But I don't know how you guys feel on this, but by introducing real world modern politics into something like that without any hindsight or perspective, it damages the overall thing. For example, having Vietnam as your starting point in the 70s when America was coming out of it, you had some perspective. Making something that's anti-Trump. What?
But again, having watched it, I don't think this show is specifically anti-Trump. It's just anti-imperialism.
Just let me finish.
Okay.
Star Wars has always been anti-imperialism, right? That's the whole point of it. But what I mean is it creates this weird world where it's locking itself in a time capsule, but at the same time not giving it the ability to grow beyond that. So Andor, I mean, like, as a character, a cool thing to, you know, to explore that he was in the military, but you know who did it really well on this, with that story that they've already told? It's kind of superfluous because they've already told this story in Solo. Solo was fantastic. Because, you know, they had him joining the army and you got to see that the Empire was bad and, you know, teamed up with a bunch of you know, aliens and being anti-imperial. It was great. It was already done. With Andor, I mean, I haven't watched it. I will watch it eventually, but my concern is basically the director. They don't need
the director's great. He did some of the best Doctor Who episodes.
That's like saying he had the best turd in the toilet bowl.
Excuse me, he did the Pandorica Opens on Doctor Who and Christmas Carol. He did the episodes with the silence. He did the episode of Sherlock where he jumped off the the cliff or whatever
take
it
it
was,
back.
you know, the top of the bridge.
I take it back. I thought you were talking about New Doctor Who.
No, Toby Haynes, he's class.
Okay, I take it back. But what I mean is, it's like, I don't want politics in shows. I just, particularly Star Wars, I just want a fantasy show in a far away, and that's it.
Okay, well, like I say, again, having watched it like fairly detailed, like I given it quite a look. It's not specifically political. It's just sort of, here's what imperialism looks like, and here's the mechanics of what happens inside it to people working in it and to people outside it, you know, and that's it. Just sort of kicks that football around. It doesn't say, oh, here's your, I don't know, January 6th Star Wars version, you know. It's more broad. I don't think the idea that imperialism is bad will ever date specifically, you know.
Yeah, but I don't know how many, like as Katie said, I do give it points for telling a story not with lightsabers and Jedi. That's very tiresome. But so is, like, I like the Stormtroopers. I think they're cool. They've always cool. The armor's awesome. The iconography is awesome. All that kind of stuff. And that whole period of Star Wars is very interesting. But the Old Republic, do that. You know, do or the High Republic.
They're getting to it.
Mandalorian Wars.
The Mandalorian Wars, exactly.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
It's like there's so much rich stuff that they can do, but I still think it's almost like they have a safety blanket of like the Stormtroopers, and they're like.
But I'm glad you brought the Stormtroopers up. I don't think I've actually seen a Stormtrooper yet, because the plot of the first 3 episodes is basically they're hunting for Andor because he's accused of a murder or something. And they'll get there, don't worry. And an imperial like governor is coming in and going to the local police, you better sort this out, because if we don't think you're capable of managing your own territory, we're going to put stormtroopers on every corner. So they're doing that same thing the Bad Batch does, where they're putting logical steps into how we get from point A to point B. And I like that. I like that world building. But I don't like in Star Wars shortcuts, you know?
I don't think you need the world building though. I mean, like, look, with Star Wars, it's already there. Like,
yeah, but if you don't need world building, then what are you doing in a multi-series franchise, you know?
Well, this is what I'm saying. I mean, take out everything away, everything we've just said, right? It's a show that exists. I don't think we need any more shows around the Skywalker thing, other than The Mandalorian. I mean, The Mandalorian is doing its own kind of thing. And that's based after all this, which is cool because it's a relatively unexplored gap. We don't need any more of this. I mean, like, I don't hear about the Death Star. I don't need to hear about the Empire Rising. I don't need to hear about Luke Skywalker before he becomes Luke Skywalker. I don't need any of that. Genuinely don't. I mean, it's been done to death. It was done to death 20 years ago. And any show that comes out, it's like, okay, we know where it's going. For me, what's more interesting is the Old Republic, the High Republic, the Mandalorian, and even way into the future, like way into the future, like what's a Kane Skywalker? Cable Skywalker. I mean, like, it's just like they have all this space and they just refuse to do anything with it. It was the problem with the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. It's like, okay, there's some cool ideas there, but then you rip off Fallen Order, like almost like B for B, which Fallen Order is canon, yet the same thing happens in both shows. And it's like I think there's too much of a good thing. And as you said, Kane, there's no planning in certain, they need to plan this out, and it just doesn't seem like they are. The only area of Star Wars that's planned, Katie, as you identified correctly, is Mando. It's the only thing that has some sort of plan, and obviously Bad Batch and stuff, because it's run by the same guy. And for me, that's why.
I think this is a Dave Filoni thing too. I think he's got a hand in everything Star Warsy, doesn't he?
Not well, yeah, but they're also given a bit of slack. It's not like we have to hit these key points. And okay, here's my question for both you guys: what is the takeaway supposed to be here? What's the point of Andor?
Well, like I said, it's an anti-imperialism show.
Okay, but how does it allow you to understand Andor more?
Because it shows how he went from like being this like random kid picked up on a planet to being someone who is willing to be the Rebel Alliance's assassin in Rogue One.
Was there anything missing from Rogue One that didn't already give you that information?
Well, I think Rogue One was a movie, so it was only able to give you a limited scope on what a functioning person's life is like in Star Wars. And it's more of that.
But I'm saying is, more of it, but you already knew that. Because he said it. I mean, all of Andor, he's the most boring character they could have picked. They could have picked like I would have rather watched a show about a droid.
I'm sure there will be one.
But I mean, like Andor, like after watching Rogue One, I was like, geez, I really can't wait to hear more about Andor.
But like that goes back to your.
Yes.
But hang on, that goes back to your Skywalker thing because he's an original character. They can do more with, like, Obi-Wan Kenobi was never going to do something that would make us like Obi-Wan Kenobi less. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
there's a huge flexibility. Even Mando, we know Mando too well now to know he'll never like turn to the dark side or join the Empire or something. Like, you know, so dramatically, it is good to have a character we know less about.
Yeah, but what I'm saying to you is there's no stakes. You know what's going to happen. It's a problem with any kind of prequels.
This is true, yeah.
It's a problem.
You do have that writing towards the ending type thing.
Yeah, and it's like you're starting at one point and then kind of filling in the gaps. And I'm like, okay, you can do something with that, but it's very difficult to do that with Andor. You know, it's like that bit in Wayne's
But I think
World.
they're doing a great job.
It's like that bit in Wayne's World where it's like, you know, oh, we're going to all these places and then
Delaware.
Delaware. And exactly. And that's Andor. It's like Andor. I'm watching Andor. And
I
that's
know,
how I
but
feel.
like you say that, but we know where Han, Luke, and Leia's stories end. But we still have an appetite to see more comics about them, more this, more that. You know?
No, I don't.
Well, I mean, we in the world sense.
No, I don't.
Not in you sense. You want nothing.
No, that's not true. I want Kal-Katan back. I want you back.
I think that we should just kill two birds with one stone. Make, you know, a show or a movie about an assassin and a droid. Just give HK-47 his own thing.
Oh my God, there you go.
There you go.
Listen to Mannequin Blue, give her all the money, and just let her do it because she comes up with the best ideas.
I'm coming for you, Kevin Feige.
Legitimately, here's the thing. It's like they can do loads of stuff with Star Wars, but they just don't. They just pick random nonsense. And then sometimes they get lucky. It's like, you know, throwing dartboard at you know, random ideas. And it seems like Andor was off, but he got someone with a bad shot and he missed it and just hit it. And like, oh man.
Now you have to do it.
Yeah, we have to make that show.
Well, I like it. A lot of the reviews seem to be very good. It's like, I mean, like, it just seems like it's a new take on Star Wars, and I'm here for that because even the Mandalorian take was kind of copied into Boba Fett. You know, you don't want Star Wars to change from being one type of homogenous thing to just a different, cooler type of homogenous thing. You know,
and look, I think that's important. Like the Blade Runner aspect of it is pretty cool. I mean, like from what I've heard and what I've seen, it's like that's cool. And you do need to build it out. And you know, again, the best part of Star Wars was never the movies; it was the books. But then again, that being said, you know this, Keen. You used to work in a bookshop. You'd walk into a bookshop, and walk into a book. You could if you were. But no, you'd walk into a bookshop, and there'd be like whole scores of books there in the Star Wars universe, and you pick up one and read it. And I mean, if that's the way it's going, where like, this is for you, that's cool. I mean, that's not everyone's going to like the same thing. People are going to want different things from Star Wars. And I mean, like, look, this show's going to come out. Not offensive. But I mean, it probably is to some people, but, you know, whatever. But it's not like offensive to most people. It doesn't hurt the story or anything like that. It's not like a war crime like J.J. Abrams did with the sequels. I mean, that is damaging. The sequels were damaging because you can't undo that. That's like, it's a sin. A sin against God, like, you know, but God being George Lucas and probably, you know, like literally because that's an endpoint. It's a big, huge keystone of that world universe, right? These small little shows that don't really mean anything, they don't mean anything. They're fine. It's like, hey, you want to make about a droid? I'd love a HK series. That'd be class.
That would be awesome.
It'd be so good. And I mean, you could do that. You can do the Bad Batch in reality. You can do the Rebels, because they don't really matter. They're just fun little world building, or you know, you can have whatever, you know. But with the big ones, I think that's the problem. And now with Star Wars, they're kind of boxing clever. And I mean, like the great thing about it is, it's like this wasn't a movie. I think if this had been a movie, it would have bombed, like badly. But
well, I mean, if this had been a movie, it wouldn't have worked. Its entire structure is that it's slow. And there's details in it, you know.
Yeah, but that's what's great about it. And the thing about it is, when you're finished watching it, nothing changes. The established order is there.
Just know a bit more about Mon Mothma and how the rebels got started up. Like they're sowing the seeds for tying to Rebels, the kids show as well. You know.
You know what, Ken? I always wanted to know how Mon Mothma got there. You know, I just watching Star Wars as a kid and going, "Yep, that woman who's talking." Can't wait to hear more of her story.
Like, seriously, like, you know, it's like. Like, no, fair play to the actor. I'm going to look up her name now because she was in a deleted scene in Revenge of the Sith. And somehow, just through consistency from her and Dave Filoni and the likes, she's built her way up through Rebels and Rogue One to being in like a TV show now. Could you imagine a deleted scene in a movie being the cornerstone that you build a career on? That takes props. Fair play to her, like.
Look, she got paid. Sure, she's not complaining, but again, I'm just like, of all the things you do, like you wipe the EU away, right? Which already talked about where she came from. I know where she comes from. I've already played the game. I know what the story is. And then they're just like, we didn't need you, but she got paid. And I mean, when
I know, but not everyone has your encyclopedic Star Wars lore, though.
This is a damn problem, as Katie would say.
It's my problem.
That sounds like a you problem.
Exactly. But yeah, I mean, look, the thing of it is, it's like, I don't know. I'm just waiting for the day that Disney Star Wars, like they did it with Mando. They genuinely did. I have to give them props to that. I really like Solo, and I liked Rogue One. Right? It's funny. I liked Rogue One, but after Rogue One, I was like, that was grand. It's like, you know, when you have a kebab and you're like, oh, that was nice.
That was a movie.
That was a movie. It was a thing, you know. And then you're like, but I wouldn't want the kebab every day or like consistently. And that's what they're doing with Andor. I'm like, bro, I don't care about you. Go away.
Sometimes you just want a pizza or a cheeseburger.
You want something different. It's like, listen, your life was very sad. I understand that, but I want happy now. And that's when I watch Mandalorian, which is you know, it's very depressing.
Hey, you want your kind of pulpy adventure stuff. That's fine. That's
fine. What Star Wars is. You know, it's a show. It's a movie for kids.
I know, but the sequels were awful because they just tried to beat Star Wars again. You know, you kind of have to, like, The Empire Strikes Back is great because it took everything about Star Wars and like went completely the way you didn't expect it into something new. You know, like if Star Wars 2 or 5, whichever way you want to call it now, had just been like, you know, another Death Star, like Darth Vader's back, more adventure stuff.
You mean like episode 7?
What?
You mean like episode 7?
Well, that's what I'm getting at. If you didn't have now and again this sort of attempts to push the limits of Star Wars, you wouldn't have a franchise, you know?
We have a zombie waste of money. You know, I mean, like, they had this in the EU. Like, if you want a cool Rebel story that does this, play Jedi Knight. Jedi Knight is awesome. Or play, Dark Forces. Play Dark Forces. Or Dark Forces 2.
I know, but like people like me don't know that this thing exists.
But they could. What I'm saying is they could have made Kyle Katarn. You know, instead of having Andor, discount. You know what, Kyle Katarn. They could have just said, "Here's Kyle Katarn," and then I lose my mind. I give Disney Plus more money, and everyone else loses their mind. And then
but if they did Kyle Katarn, you'd be like, "Oh no, that's not the way he'd behave." No, wrong.
Oh, to me say that. Never. I just it's like I've already been here before, but the thing about it is it's like just done badly. It's like, you know, I don't know. It's like I've seen this before and it just comes off as, you know, it just doesn't come off well. And I'm just kind of like, right, I just want Disney Star Wars to do something a little bit different. Because when they do, they can do it. You know, Mandalorian again, they have done it. There's these bright spots, but it's kind of just grimly watching to be like, oh, still terrible. Oh wait, this is good. Oh no, okay, terrible again. It's like they had Mandalorian and then did Boba Fett, and it was like, oh, that was terrible. And then Mando 2 comes like, oh, that was grand. And it's just like this weird like back and forward where you're like, is it good yet? You know, Katie, come on. Am I off base here or what?
No, not really.
I mean, I'm impressed that you could speak so passionately about something you have not watched.
I mean, but even, you know, Boba Fett had to turn into Mando halfway through just to stay interesting.
I really didn't like that about Boba Fett. Lost me when it did that. I was with it before that.
See, it lost me before it did that.
Keen was with it when it was terrible. When it got good, he jumped off. He's like,
I was with it when it was different. Thank you very much.
I know, I do understand that. No, I mean, look, there is room for different in it, but it's more like a case of, well, Boba Fett was a little bit different and kind of, for better or worse. I didn't like when it went into Mandalorian. I think that should have been part of the series, but I did enjoy it as well because everyone likes Mando,
Yeah, it was good, but it should have been its own thing.
It should have been its own thing. It shouldn't have been in Boba Fett. I do agree with you.
They should have dropped it like a Werewolf by Night thing and just let it be on its own or something,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that actually would have been a good show. But I just think with something like Andor, it's like, okay, here I'm gonna rebook this again, right? They don't do Andor, right? They don't have a name character. They have someone else, right? It could be a rebel, could have the exact same backstory, and they do it as a series. Some new guy who you know nothing about, and you tell that same story again, but you don't know where he's going, right? You don't know that he dies in the Death Star thing, and then it's revealed later on that his brother was Andor or something.
Okay, but then you're going back to the problem you had earlier, which is that who is Andor? I don't care about Andor,
Yeah, but the thing of it is, how are you supposed to care about when he was already in the movie? This kid could, you could tell a self-contained Star Wars story and make him care. But then again, you have to do good writing, and that's hard, right?
I mean, sure, Andor is set 10 years before Rogue One or something. You've got he's just a point of view character on the start of the rebellion and stuff. It doesn't matter to me that I know he's going to die or whatever.
Why not do Starkiller?
I don't know who that is.
Ooh, Starkiller.
The Force Unleashed.
Hang on.
Yeah.
Are we talking about Darth Starkiller or Bendak Starkiller?
Galen Marek.
That means nothing to me.
That's Starkiller's real name. Galen Marek.
I want to see Bendak Starkiller.
Really?
Yeah. He seemed interesting, before he got blown up by grenades.
Yeah, no.
Now I don't need to. Well,
see, if you're going to do the Force, if you want to do the rebellion, do the Force Unleashed. Where it's you're still getting that, and you're getting the Darth Vader and the lightsabers and blah 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 blah. But you're also getting that cool story as well, where he sets up the rebellion. It's just they're not willing to commit fully. It's very frustrating. Disney Star Wars is very upset. The thing about it is though, the thing that's making me kind of want to watch it, and I probably will watch it, is because Stevie likes it. And if if it gets her, no disrespect to you, Keen, obviously, the love is there, but
but you don't trust anything I say or think.
Not everything. Just I trust your wife more with Star Wars. So I probably will watch it. It's probably not that bad. I'm probably
do let me know. You probably have a better time than I did because 6 episodes are out now and you can just crash through it.
Yeah. See, I kind of like that a little bit more. To be fair, I like the way I can binge it. How much time do we have left? Do we have time for Rings of Power?
That we should do. Yeah, I also wouldn't mind just doing a quick Doctor Who thing. 2 minutes earlier. We have. Oh, never mind. We have 4 minutes.
Oh, wow.
And we should have known that would happen because you started talking about Star Wars.
See, you broke the rule. Don't do it. Yeah. Don't bring up Star Wars.
Right. You've got 4 minutes to give us a full breakdown of the most expensive TV show ever made. Go.
It was so bad that they apologized and said it's going to be better in season 2. There you go.
Did they actually write that in Elvish across the screen?
No, they actually said, look, we know we broke the law, but it's going to be better in season 2. And you can find that. That's an article. That's not my opinion. That's what they said. So they apologized for breaking the law in season 1, and he said it's going to be better in season 2. So that is my take. That's not my take. My take is I watched the first 8 minutes, and it was awful. And then I watched it again because I was eating Chinese with my parents, and they were watching it because I refused to. And I was like, "This is like a parody. This is like a Saturday night parody of Game of Thrones," and that's what it felt like. House of the Dragon, though. That's awesome, by the way. If anyone has,
I've heard that.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I'm really, really enjoying it. So I would totally recommend that. Rings of Power. Don't waste your time. It should have been its own thing. It shouldn't have tried to be in it. The problem was it tried to tie in with Tolkien, which don't do. Like Shadow of War, Shadow of Mordor, I love, and they're just not Tolkien. But actually, I remember I was working for a gaming website, and when we got the reviews copies, it was said, look, it's not related to Lord of the Rings. It's its own thing. That's what Rings of Power should have been. But that's my take on it. We only have 4 minutes. Keen, your Doctor Who thing. Go on.
No. I mean, I agree with you. Even the photos and images I've seen, it doesn't look that great. It does look a bit like Saturday Night Live parody sketch. Yeah. So I'm glad to hear that. And actually having House of the Dragon come out alongside it really hurts it.
Yeah,
Because Game of Thrones,
yeah,
even when
it
it's
does.
bad, always looks really good, you know?
Yeah, and House of Dragon looks like Game of Thrones. It's take it from somebody who was on the show. It looks exactly like Game of Thrones. They nailed it, and this Rings of Power thing. It just looks. It's ironic for like the most expensive show ever made that it looks so cheap.
Yeah,
so cheap. It's terrible. It's a terrible, truly horrendous show. But yeah.
Oh my God. Well, with 2 minutes left, I want to do a quick update on my ongoing segment. Why aren't they advertising the Jodie Whittaker finale? They finally did 2 weeks beforehand.
Oh my God.
I've advertised theater shows 6 weeks out, but sure, that's how they do. We have a trailer. We have they're doing a little image countdown. It's going out this Sunday at 7:30, but it still feels like very much like this is kind of getting swept under the rug before it's even gone out. I will subscribe to your theory that they're sort of hedging their bets on how this is going to be received, Dara. I think you hit the nail on the head there.
Look, some can say I'm negative, and that's probably true, but I'm usually not wrong.
It's definitely true.
I tried to be a bit more positive. It's just hard when they do stupid things like this.
I'm going to miss Whittaker. I think she's great.
There is, however, a Planet Zoo DLC where you can buy raccoons, and I'm going to get that now because I want a raccoon in my zoo.
You have a zoo?
Yeah, Planet Zoo.
All right, okay. You gotta segue with these things,
Planet Zoo is the best game ever, and the fact you can have a raccoon now just makes it all worthwhile.
All right, 30 seconds. Katie, is there anything you'd like to say before we wrap?
Yes.
Yes.
Was that it?
Yes.
Precious time is being spent, Dara.
So I'm going to go play Planet Zoo and download the Twilight Pack, which has raccoons and other such animals, which are great. And I probably will stream. Follow Mannequin Blue Katie's stream on Twitch, by the way.
Yes, please. That would be lovely.
She's doing the streams.
We started doing our first and second stream this week. We played Little Nightmares. I did lots of Frighten, and they're still up for, I think it's 2 weeks, and then they get deleted forever. So check them out. Follow me, please, Mannequin Blue. Yay!
Exclusive.
Okay, and we'll be back probably with our Hocus Pocus 2 review, presuming we remember. Definitely
we have
with
time.
Our Doctor Who review, because whether I like it or hate it, I will have thoughts.
Hold on,
but until then, thank you for listening to the latest. Yes?
Stop. Don't go to the intro just yet. So, that's going to be like 2 weeks. So next week we have to fill the void somehow, and there you go. Go on. Sorry.
Okay, that's quite all right. That's fine. We will have our post-Halloween episode then, and you can edit around that. And until next time, thank you for listening to our long old man yells at cloud rants. But we really appreciate everyone who listens. So thank you very much. And until next time, I've been Cian.
I've been Dara.
Bye.
And she was Katie. Bye.
We love you.
She says I'm not romantic. I say she's so dramatic.
All right, so you're listening to the podcast. You're like, hey, I'm not in Ireland. How do I get in touch? Well, TuneIn has you covered. That's how you can check us out live when we're on the radio. You go to TuneIn and download the app, or you can check out the live streams on nerdtoknowmedia.com or Phoenix 92.5 FM. If you want to get in contact with us, it's very easy. Nerd to Know Media everywhere. Nerd to Know Media on Twitter. Nerd to Know Media Instagram. Nerd to Know Media on Twitch. Nerd to Know Media at gmail.com if you want to reach out via email. Hope to hear from you soon. Check out the Wrestling Rewind here on Phoenix 92.5 FM every Tuesday at 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. And of course, over on nerdtoknowmedia.com, the only wrestling podcast by wrestling fans who don't hate wrestling. We'll see you then.
Hey, Dara, what are you doing over there in Ireland? Like with the freaking leprechauns and everything. That's not cool. You should be over here with the cosplayers. At least then you could, like, I don't know, pretend like you got, I don't know, some kind of thing going on. Yeah, with you give me a Brooklyn Blade. Yeah, with your stick, Dara. Dara? Yeah, Dara. Why ain't you over here with Joey? Anyway, we missed you, dude. So, this is Circle Evo saying,
I love it. All I do is just believe in the heart of the cards, and then I can...
Thank you for listening to a Nerd to Know Media production.